In my last video, we covered the defense of Davion Mitchell, which is a side of the floor where Davion has always been known for. And while the label of a defensive first player is true for Mitchell, the strides he made on the offensive side of the floor showed us that he has the chance to be a legitimate two-way star in this league. Over his last 10 games of the season, Mitchell put up averages of just under 20 points and exactly 10 assists per game, all while shooting a respectable 45% from the floor. And while end of season numbers are always a little wonky, the fact that Davion was able to get consistent reps as the lead ball handler in the offense is the more important factor here. Davion has figured out how to get to his spots, manipulating defenders' movements and creating advantages out of plays that may look lost. I love how Davion reuses screens. Oftentimes defenders can fight or get through the initial screen, but struggle to adjust when a pick is flipped. This is an art that Mitchell has mastered as he maintains his patience navigating through screens and waits for the right angle to attack. This first screen here, the defender goes under and no advantage is created offensively. So one retreat dribble from Davion and Sabonis flips the screen to then force the defender through the pick and give Davion space to step into a mid-range jumper. You see the sequence constantly with Mitchell as the ball handler. He loves stepping in these jumpers off the dribble in the pick and roll, but he needs to create space in order to do so, and that's the way that he's found to be most effective for his game. Sometimes it's just about shifting the defender's feet, like here where the screener appears to be setting up inside on Davion's right. So Davion gets low to give the impression he's coming off of it, but when Booker shifts his feet to ice the pick, the screen is then flipped and Davion comes off of it to step into another jumper. This play shows you so much of the screen navigation ability Davion has in his arsenal. Bruce Brown is the primary defender who's always incredibly active and disruptive. Davion sets him up right and comes off the screen to his left to get Brown on his hip. From there, Mitchell locks him in this position. He pauses at the elbow to locate Bruce, but keeps him in jail from this point on. But perhaps the most important part of this whole play is the finish, with his left hand off the wrong foot while jumping from outside the paint, all with the defender on his hip and shot blocker down low as well. Over 65% of Davion's half-court attempts are considered jumpers, but he only ranks in the 36th percentile in points possession off jump shots. But when you narrow that down to only dribble jumpers coming off of screens, he then jumps to the 63rd percentile and a solid 42%. Pick and roll scoring is where Davion thrives, and he's usually going to take these pull-up jumpers to generate most of his offense. Davion can score off the bounce by utilizing the 1-2 step as well as hop jumpers. Both of these are extremely similar to the exact same moves that Davion Mitchell uses to score off screens as well. Although both of these methods are for taking movement jumpers, Davion does a great job of maintaining his balance off the dribble and not leaning with shots. He gets squared up and the motion is the exact same every time. Mitchell is extremely comfortable both taking hop and 1-2 jumpers, and I would say these are the shots that he has the most success with. Where Mitchell will sometimes struggle is when he's not completely set, sometimes rushing shots and not having great balance. You'll see on occasion where he's maybe fading away off his back foot or hopping from distances which impedes his balance. Just any act where Davion is leaning too much to one side is not something he's very comfortable with as of right now. Once Davion is able to hit these sort of shots consistently is what will take him to the next level as a scorer. But Mitchell's willingness to take these shots gives me confidence that in the future his efficiency will rise. Purely because you know he's a maniac in terms of work ethic and he's definitely working on these shots. From 3, Davion's numbers were far from impressive. He ended the season shooting under 32% from 3 and he struggled both off the catch and off the dribble. Now, is there a legitimate reason to worry? I would say not too much. We talked about it earlier, but Davion is always squared up when he's shooting. To go along with that, he has a significant dip in his shot and bends his knees even more considerably than the normal player would. This motion is something I believe Davion should look to make quicker. He can look very uncomfortable at times when he's forced to speed up his release, as his exaggerated motion can take too much time to get off in tight spaces. One very noticeable change throughout the season was the added arc Davion put on his jump shot. He always had good arc in his shot, but late in the season he clearly had an added emphasis on adding even more to it, and by the end of the year he was hoisting rainbow jumpers from deep. Overall, I would say the area of Davion's game he made the biggest strides in this season was his playmaking ability. It's very tough for rookie point guards to adjust to the speed of the game on the fly, and Davion was no different. You could see plenty of times where it may look like there's a window to make some of these passes, but the window's actually a lot tighter than it appears. Here, this is a good slip by Damian Jones, but Davion has to assume a defender is going to make a break on the ball, even if their head is turned at the moment. So here he tries to fire a line drive instead of fitting it above the defender. But things like this are also why I think it was good for Mitchell to be forced to be the primary point guard once Fox went down. We saw him consistently make these early drop-off passes against drop coverage, which is especially good for a team like the Kings with Sabonis. Domas is so good with the ball in this elbow area, so it's important to give him an opportunity to make plays. Pick and roll reads are where a lot of the improvement in Davion's game really showed. Like here where he comes off the screen looking for a jumper, but catches the big stepping up, and that allows Damian Jones again to step inside. And this play is about as high level of reads as you can make. The first two reads for Davion are to make a lob over the top and then Holiday on the perimeter. Nothing is there, but since Davion was deceptive with his eyes, he catches his defender sleeping and gets a step on him going to the basket. He draws the help defender on the drive, then floats in the air for just long enough to create an angle to hit the roller. Then there's the patience out of the pick and roll that impresses me with Davion. We've already seen some of how he navigates and reuses screens, but it doesn't stop at that. Mitchell has worked with Chris Paul in the past, and it's clear that he was paying attention when he was with him. Here the Pelicans ice the pick, and driving into a crowded lane, there is no clear read for Davion to make initially. But he keeps his dribble alive around the basket until a cutter makes himself available and Davion hits him in stride. But still, what makes me the most optimistic about Davion's future as a playmaker is the kick out past the shooters. It's Davion's vision to see the entire court that's impressive. He can make reads from his blind side, he can hit players in the far corner, and this type of stuff is incredibly difficult to do. This play, Davion picks up his dribble near the elbow, and PJ Tucker is the weak side corner help defender who's creeping into the paint. Mitchell scans the whole court before recognizing HB in the corner and even throws a pass fake in there as well, until he hits HB for the open three. And these types of reads are things you just didn't see Davion make nearly as often early in the season. It's why the reps that he got at the end of the year should be viewed as extremely valuable rather than garbage time or empty stats. What I view as the biggest wildcard to Davion's future is his ability to finish around the basket. He ended the season shooting about 59% around the basket according to Synergy, 64% within 3 feet, and 60% in the restricted area. These numbers are far from elite, but they are definitely not discouraging given his frame. Two things are very evident about Davion's finishing ability: the touch he has on the scoop lay-in and the strength he has finishing through contact. Most modern guards in the NBA have the scoop lay-in in their bag, and Davion is no different. The reason this shot is so valuable is because it opens up players for more awkward finishes. So you'll see Mitchell a lot of the time finish with his right on the left side and even jump off the wrong foot for a good portion of the time. And he can get these to go at very difficult angles, not having much space between him and the basket and oftentimes with a shot blocker in the area. Then there is Davion's strength. I've already talked about how his strong core allows him to battle with bigger players defensively, and the same goes for his offense. He doesn't mind the contact that comes with attacking the basket, and he'll hang in the air unfazed as defenders bump off of him. Keep in mind that Davion's only about 6'1 or 6'2, but you would never guess that with this style of play. Oh, and also he can do this. But the one thing I would really love to see Davion add to his arsenal going forward is the floater. He only had 71 total attempts considered a runner this season and shot just under 37% on them. This is a shot that almost all of the great undersized guards have relied on, and I want to see Davion utilize this much more often than he does currently. Mitchell only ranked in the 23rd percentile in isolation scoring this season, where he shot about 39%. I don't think it's extremely necessary for Davion to become a great ISO scorer, so I'm not concerned at all about these numbers. But I do like some of the positives in his one-on-one game, most notably the filthy step back he possesses. Other than that, he does a great job of attacking bigs on switches where he can either blow by them or stop on a dime for these pull-up jumpers. Like I said earlier though, I'm not a big fan of when he settles for shots when he's not set, and I would like to see him either cut down on these or improve at the very least. All in all, I was impressed with Davion's rookie season, and he was everything as advertised and possibly more. I don't really care that maybe his efficiency wasn't good or that the advanced stats don't favor him. At the very least, he projects to be an elite on-ball defender with terrific offensive upside, and he just has that dog in him. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and let me know who you'd like to see me analyze next. I appreciate all of you guys' support a ton, so please do subscribe if you do enjoy because it does mean a lot. Anyways, until next time, see ya.